Two hurricanes are churning on opposite sides of the globe right now, and a fresh tropical wave is rolling into the Caribbean this very weekend. If you're anywhere near the Caribbean, Florida, Central America, or Hawaii, today's outlook touches your next 7 days. So stick around, because the most unexpected piece of this update lands right in the middle, tied to a storm almost nobody's talking about yet. After weeks of a quiet, dry stretch that had islands practically begging for rain, the pattern is finally waking up. Let's go through it step by step so you know exactly what's coming your way. Everyone wants to know about these. First, Fausto is churning toward Hawaii, while Genevieve is out over the open eastern Pacific and gaining strength by the hour. Both are being tracked closely, and we'll break down each path in detail shortly. But first, here's what's brewing closer to home. The Caribbean is finally seeing better odds of showers and thunderstorms after a long dry spell. A tropical wave moved in yesterday morning. Another is right behind it, and a brand new wave is emerging off the African coast, meaning the whole Atlantic basin is stirring more than it has in weeks. To be clear, none of these waves currently show signs of organizing into anything dangerous in the short term. But conditions can shift fast, which is why they're worth tracking daily. A harmless-looking wave today can turn into something more significant by midweek. Here's the twist. We actually want one of these waves to develop, just not into a hurricane. Many islands are parched, and a soaking tropical wave would genuinely help farmers refill reservoirs and relieve drought-stressed communities. This week is a balancing act. Rain yes, wind no. If you have asthma or any respiratory sensitivity, pay attention here. A large plume of Saharan dust currently sits over the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic, and is drifting toward the Turks and Caicos. It's also reaching Puerto Rico, the U.S., and British Virgin Islands, St. Lucia, Barbados, Martinique, and Dominica. Tomorrow the plume shifts toward Belize and the Yucatan Peninsula, while pushing further north toward the Turks and Caicos and southern Bahamas. Hazy skies, reduced visibility, or throat and eye irritation in these areas are likely dust-related. It's not a major concern for healthy people, but anyone with breathing issues should take precautions over the next 48 hours. The next tropical wave is a bit stronger than recent ones, but it's moving straight into that dust plume. Dust tends to dry out and choke tropical systems, robbing them of moisture. The upside, unlike earlier. Weak waves, this one likely won't fall apart entirely. The downside rainfall could be a tease, one island soaked while its neighbor stays bone dry. That's just how these systems behave when fighting dry, dusty air. Tonight, better rain odds from Guadeloupe south through Grenada, with scattered showers for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Lucia, and Barbados. Tomorrow, a few showers may finally reach the long-parched northeastern Caribbean, Jamaica, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic could see afternoon storms. Cuba gets heavy downpours, plus scattered showers reaching into Central America Monday. Better, though still not widespread storm chances, for the Dominican Republic and Haiti. The Bahamas may see a stray pop-up shower. Meanwhile, one Atlantic wave sits in the Central Basin, and another fresh one is emerging off Africa. Both under continued watch, Costa Rica and Panama. Expect pockets of heavier rain with Guatemala. Also seeing scattered activity. Fausto is strengthening short-term en route to Hawaii. Genevieve is strengthening over the open eastern Pacific, and a third system is expected to weaken as it nears Hawaii. More on that shortly. For anyone in California, Mexico, or Guatemala, eastern Pacific storms occasionally veer northward unexpectedly, so it's worth staying alert all season. Right now, this particular system looks set to drift west-northwest away from the coast, but that could change, and it'll be tracked closely. Why the eastern Pacific is so busy? We're heading into an El Niño pattern, which tends to fuel more named storms in the eastern Pacific, while increasing wind shear over the Atlantic and Caribbean, suppressing development there. That's largely why the Atlantic has felt quiet, while the eastern Pacific has been churning out systems. By Monday at 5 p.m., Caribbean time, roughly midday. Monday in Hawaii, the storm won't have arrived yet, though swells will already be building, and it will be in its weakening phase. Models are still split on the exact track, some further north, some further south. By Tuesday, midday, Hawaii time model tracks diverge further. A more southerly track raises the odds of direct tropical storm impacts on land. Either way, Hawaii will be dealing with a nearby weakening system, and everyone should watch for rain bands. Even if the center passes north, backside flow can still wrap moisture into Honolulu, with more moisture arriving from the south. Early Wednesday, the system keeps approaching, with the center expected in a specific spot by Wednesday afternoon. Hawaii time, though, scattered rain bands will remain a concern well beyond that exact point. A twist meteorologists have seen before. Hawaii's mountainous terrain can actually enhance rainfall even from a weakening storm, since the terrain forces air upward and squeezes out extra rain in pockets. Some areas may barely notice the storm due to sheltering terrain, while others just a short drive away could face landslides and localized flooding. Peak modeled winds are currently around 70 mph, but as the storm moves into cooler water, the main driver of weakening in this region, this time of year, winds are expected to drop from roughly 50 mph to 40 mph, with isolated higher gusts possible near rain bands. Even though it likely won't still be classified as a hurricane by the time it reaches Hawaii, it shouldn't be taken lightly. Building seas, dangerous surf, sudden downpours, and terrain-driven flooding remain real risks even from a weakening system. Genevieve is expected to strengthen into a major hurricane. Current tracking keeps it south of the Baja Peninsula. Good news for that coastline, though any changes will be reported immediately. A front is moving and bringing thunderstorms to central and north Florida today, with even better storm chances across the whole peninsula tomorrow. Some storms could drop 56 inches of rain in a short window, worth watching closely, especially tomorrow afternoon. The same front brings showers to Freeport and Nassau in the Bahamas. Though most of the Bahamas, 700 islands, stay dry, with the northern Bahamas seeing the best rain chances Monday afternoon and evening. Cuba, Jamaica, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic get a few pop-up storms too, though not enough to fully break the dry spell. That front splits in two. One branch brings rain to the Outer Banks and southeastern U.S., while Mexico and Texas stay comparatively quiet. Looking towards Sunday, storms return to Florida and near Bermuda, plus a severe weather risk stretching from Minnesota to Michigan and clipping parts of Canada into Monday, Florida. Could see the region's highest totals, up to 6 inches, much of it in a single fast downpour. Northern Bahamas approaching 50 millimeter Cuba. Scattered storms, with interior areas possibly seeing 100 millimeter in isolated spots. Haiti, Dominican Republic, Jamaica, Puerto Rico, a few storms, each Outer Banks, South Carolina, 48 inches on top of already elevated totals. Dust remains part of the story. Throughout, rain pushing into dusty zones is fighting dry air, though overnight hours tend to give showers a better shot at surviving. That dynamic also applies to Dominica, where a few showers may push through into northern Guyana and Venezuela, which see scattered activity. Colombia and the ABC Islands stay mostly dry. Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Honduras, and Belize trend toward higher rain chances, as does Guatemala. A monsoon flow setting up through Mexico is expected to lift north into Arizona and New Mexico, worth watching. If you're in that region, Jamaica 30 today, rising to 50 tomorrow and Monday. Cayman Islands, Trinidad and Tobago 20-30. This weekend, climbing to 60 in some spots. Barbados 40-50, better overnight. St. Lucia showers likely after sunset. Grenada 30-40, St. Vincent and the Grenadines 40 all weekend. Martinique 40, Dominica, Guadeloupe 50, finally getting some help from the tropical wave. Antigua and Barbuda, a few late showers possible. St. Kitts, Nevis, Montserrat 50. Anguilla, St. Bart's, 20-30, St. Martin, Sint Martin 40. By tomorrow, Puerto Rico, 30-40, U.S., British Virgin Islands, a shower or two possible into Monday, northern Bahamas. Best chances in the region, southern Bahamas and Turks and Caicos stay mostly dry. Haiti, limited overall, isolated storms further inland. Dominican Republic, similar pattern, 40-50, 50 today. Aruba, Curaçao, Bonaire, 20-20. Possibly bumping to 30, Guyana 40, Suriname 50. By Monday, Cuba 60 for big afternoon evening storms, Costa Rica, Panama, Nicaragua 50, Honduras 50-60, including the Bay Islands, San Andres and Providencia, Guatemala, El Salvador 60, Mexico City 40, ticking up tomorrow, Merida, Cancun 50-60, Northern Colombia, Venezuela. Rising chances strengthening into Monday. Bermuda, scattered showers, notable afternoon storms. Orlando Central, Florida. Storms today rising to 50 by Monday. Tampa, Miami, big afternoon. Storms watch the lightning risk during peak hours. Houston, quieter, 20. Multiple tropical waves are finally reaching a rain-starved Caribbean. A layer of Saharan dust is simultaneously helping and hurting that rain, depending on location. Hurricane Fausto is weakening en route to Hawaii, but still carries real risk from rain bands and terrain-driven flooding. Genevieve is strengthening toward major hurricane status while tracking south of Baja, and a strong frontal system is set to bring significant rain to Florida, the Carolinas, and the Bahamas over the coming days. None of these systems currently threaten to become a dangerous hurricane for the Caribbean or the U.S. mainland in the short term, but the pattern is clearly shifting into a more active phase after weeks of quiet. That shift is worth watching, since this is often exactly how bigger storms build later in the season, starting small and quiet, then gaining momentum, wave after wave. Stay alert, stay safe, and keep tracking Fausto, Genevieve, and every tropical wave in between as the season continues.